Thanks for taking the time to talk, and thank you, for the opportunity to present the film here in Austin at Doc Days, which is the second year. It's a kind of a small, kind of mini nonfiction film festival presented by the Austin Film Society here. And as I might have mentioned in an email, I used to live in Amsterdam for about 12 years, and I moved back to the U.S. in 2013. And so while I was there, I volunteered for a few years with IDFA, and always was such a tremendous experience to see films there. So when I moved to Austin, there are other film festivals here, of course, but there was not anything with a real focus on documentary, and so I thought, oh, maybe there's an opportunity to sort of start something small, and so we started last year, and we had a really great audience. We just showed 7 films, and the last 2 years I've come to IDFA just to see what's there. And so I saw Kabul at the opening night in Amsterdam, and so I thought, oh, I really would love to bring this to Austin.
Okay, right.
So so just I have just a few questions. This is basically kind of a short interview that we can use to kind of inform audiences about the film. So probably most of what I've asked, I'm sure you've answered many times, so bear with me if you don't mind. But actually, I guess first, because you mentioned you're going to be working on a narrative film, how was it that you, I don't know, has documentary always been something that has been of interest to you, or how did you sort of choose that, as your first film with Kabul?
No, I think film is film. Some story requires the documentary approach, and some stories requires the narrative approach. It depends on the story. It depends on the soul of the film, actually. And I do both. I made several narrative shorts so far, and this story about Kabul, Kabul City in the Wind. It must be documentary, and but I mean, I miss the interaction between the driver and the passengers, which can be very interesting. It can be a very nice metaphor, reflection of the society, how it is today. And I've seen that, but it's impossible to capture that in documentary. It is not impossible, but it might take like a long time, and you can keep shooting until that happens. So that's why I chose for the upcoming project to script it, and also other stuff like the graveyard, the emotion which I feel naturally when I'm there at the graveyard, at that different kind of graveyard, because Kabul is surrounded by many graveyards, and that grows, and new graveyards is appearing by every week or every month. And so that strong feeling which I get is, for me right now, is easier to write it down as a narrative scene to show it better. So this coming story requires a narrative style.
And with Kabul City in the Wind, can you just talk about what the kind of origin of the film, and I guess in a sense, what was your intention before you began?
Well, generally, the basic intention was to give a realistic image of life today in Kabul, to tackle all the cliche stereotype image we know about Afghanistan, and to tackle myself actually, and to, for once at least, let the people tell the story. Let's focus on the life of the people, accept all these big overruling topics in the mass media we know about Afghanistan. Those are quite misguiding, but once it comes to the humanity and to the dignity of people, it becomes readable for whoever in this planet. So that was the basic idea, to And there are many people in Kabul, many filmmakers, especially young ones, my generation, that they are pretty tired about the films that gets made in Afghanistan in the past 17 years, with some prefixed perception, prefixed agenda for NGOs or some other kind of policies. So they want to take the microphone themselves for once and tell the story.
And you, before you came to shoot, I presume that you'd been back to Kabul a number of times.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Because what year did you leave Afghanistan to come to the Netherlands?
Right when America attacked Afghanistan. After the Buddha got destroyed by the Taliban, I left Afghanistan.
How old were you then?
I was 14.
Okay.
Then it was back in 2009 when I went back for the first time to Kabul. The city was totally unknown for me. I couldn't connect to any part of the town anymore. My image about Afghanistan, the image which was designed in my mind when I was in Europe, I thought that's the Afghanistan, that's the new Afghanistan. I'm going there. But when I arrived there, it was pretty much far from the reality. And I mean, not all men in Afghanistan are misogynist, and not all of them are oppressing their family, their women, their wives, their daughters. There are a few of them, of course, there are. They exist, those fundamentalists exist, but for me it was hard to find that, actually. What I found easily on street were those hardworking people, those hardworking men who was working 12 hours, 14 hours per day to feed their family, to pay the school for their daughters. And this is the majority. There are many, many of them. So I thought, okay, this is the reality which we are missing in the world. Yeah. The image we get about Afghanistan does not help Afghanistan. It damages even deeper Afghanistan. Perhaps it helps some parties, some stakeholders in Afghanistan, some international stakeholders in Afghanistan to legitimate their existence, their presence in Afghanistan, but it doesn't support Afghan people at all, but it damages. So I thought, okay, where can I see this reality? And the bus, the old same bus which I took when I was a kid, was existing again, and they were the same broken buses. And so to refresh my memories, I took those buses every day for months without any destinations. And it was the only place I liked the most because I could hear little stories from the people. I didn't need to follow all the story, just a little tiny bit. All together gives me a very strong, beautiful texture of the city. Plus this old melody which comes from the broken radio from the bus, which gives another layer to this dusty, misty city. So for me, after a while, everybody knew me. All those drivers knew me. Okay, Aboozar is coming and he's going to sit all the way back in the bus. Does nothing, just sitting there. So in a short time, I knew them all, actually. Some days, when I was walking on the street, they were peeping that you don't need a ride, or all of them, almost all of them. So I was filming with my iPhone, and that was quite amazing because smartphones are very good tools for documentary. It breaks the ice between you and the protagonist. It's small, they don't mind. At the same time, they get used to the camera. So most of the drivers were trying to pretend and act like those Bollywood heroes from the 70s, 80s, because there is a camera and there is a guy who's filming. So all those heroic act came up. except Abbas, the guy in the film. He was himself. He was just impulsive and funny and sincere, but also sneaky sometimes, trying to trick you in. So I thought, okay, this guy is very interesting for me. And I mean, he is very interesting, dubious, and I mean, Coen brother would love to make a movie about. So he became the hero, and at the same time, I was looking for the tank. There are many tanks still from the Soviet Union time, the carcass of the tanks, but this particular one is still pointing at the city. And I really wanted to go and take a look. It's at the far west Kabul, actually. But it was heavy snow and we got lost, and suddenly I came across some 40, 50 kids playing snowballs. We joined them, and at the end I asked them if anybody knows the way to the tank, and Afshin was the most popular amongst them, and he showed us the way. So I filmed with the phone still, and when I got back in Amsterdam, I rewatched the material, and I thought, okay, this is amazing. This guy, the boy, I really want to see the city through his eyes. So I went back and I found him again, and I followed his life.
And were the boys? Did they become unaware of your presence over time, and just do the things kids do, or how was that to work with them?
It's difficult with kids to film them, but I have some experience in my previous films. I worked with kids. I'm quite good with kids, and at the same time, Afshin and his younger brother was just the same age as I left Afghanistan. I understand them very well. They understand me very well. It was suddenly, very quickly, the trust was between us, and they felt totally free when I was filming. And they didn't mind the camera. And but the driver was a bit difficult because he's from another generation who experienced the civil war, and I kind of don't understand them. They can be very difficult and complicated. So it took me some time to establish this trust feeling between us.
And was there? You already actually kind of answered one of my questions about, say, what you learned while you were there. But was there anything else that you learned from your time spent observing your characters about their lives in Kabul? And
well, it was yes, it was. They are really hardworking people. They don't give up. They just want to live, to establish a very simple, normal life. That's what they want. And they have no clue what's going on around them, who is fighting against whom, which part they should take, actually. They have lost their trust in Taliban, in the government, in the foreign troops, in anybody. They don't trust anymore, because every day the policy about one group or another change. They thought that America is coming to defeat the Taliban, but now they are starting to negotiate and give the country back to the Taliban. They thought that the government is a democratic one, but the government is tribal, one ethnic, and in a very fascistic way. So we have no idea what's going on around us, and all we know is that there is a huge business going on. There is a huge international business going on, but we have no idea. Yes.
And I know that you made a kind of a deliberate decision to not present any kind of violence that might have happened. Can you talk about that and why you made that decision?
I mean, Afghanistan, when the name of Afghanistan come up, it comes up with a lot of violence images. And so we don't need to see that again, because we've seen enough. We have been numb about violence in Afghanistan already,
Mm-hmm.
because it's not in the nature of human to handle so much violence. So when we hear every day this amount of people got killed, that amount of people got killed, after a very short time we become senseless, indifference about that. Because it's going to be for us never-ending stories. And so that was one of the main reasons. At the same time, um, uh, I was on 23rd of July 2016 in Kabul filming the demonstration, and it was a peaceful demonstration. It's a civil movement, so I joined them. This is one big step for progress in the society. But then two huge suicide bomb happened, and I lost some friend. 86 people got killed and 400 people got injured. And so I have material. I shot that. I
Oh wow.
filmed. But then I thought, okay, if I use this and show to the world, what is the difference between me and those terrorist representative? So I deliberately decided to not show any kind of violence in this movie, but just focus on life and on the life of the people there. Yes, that was the reason.
Yeah. No, that makes a lot of sense. Um, I wanted to ask, what would you hope, or what's your hope say for um, audiences, or particularly like an American audience, I mean, to take out of this film? I mean, you've already mentioned a few things, but is there anything else in particular?
Well, um, I hope that American people watch this film first of all. Because they have the right to see the life in a country that they invest by their taxes for such a long period of time. And we shouldn't get this right from them, and we should for once give them another image which is closer to the people of that place, instead of all these frontline stories, all these stereotype of kind of war stories. But
Yeah.
they see the life of the people, because they are the one who at the end pays. I mean, weeks ago, I forgot the name, America, the guy who was in charge for the statistic in Afghanistan, American, for the American government, he said that we invested $1 trillion in Afghanistan last 17 years.
Yeah.
I don't even know how many zero has a trillion.
Yeah.
I even cannot count it. But I ask myself, to achieve what? What did we achieve with that $1 trillion?
Oh, yeah.
Except killing many British soldiers, many American soldiers, many civilians, and many, of course, many fundamentals at the same time. But did we uh, um, did we make a safer place? I mean, the amount of opium which gets produced in Afghanistan since 2001 is 100 times more today. Taliban is 10 times stronger than 2001. There is not only Taliban, there is 21 different kind of terrorist groups is operating in Afghanistan. So what did we achieve with 1 trillion? Where did it go wrong?
Yeah.
And I think that people of America has the right to ask this question, and has the right to watch another type of films.
Yeah. No, the sad thing is probably a lot of Americans, they don't even, it's been going on for so long, they're not even aware there's still American involvement there, you know. It's so remote from people's consciousness in a way, I think.
Yes, exactly, true. That is true. But I mean, it's, at least for me as a filmmaker, my task is to make film, to create that image, and then try to show it as much as possible.
What were I guess the last question I had for you was just with this particular film, like say I mean just the approach or the visual approach to the film? Were there any particular influences in the kind of feeling that you wanted the film to have?
Well, my background is Italian neorealist cinema. That was also my master thesis in London Film School. And I like that because at the same time, it's part of the history. You don't only tell the story of one particular or two characters, but you capture a part of history of your country or some places. You know that's for me one of the inspiration actually. But visually, I tried. Images are for me very important. I mean, at the end, cinema is image and sound. So I don't really like those interview style documentaries. As I said before, film is film. Even if it is documentary, it can be very creative. And I've tried to capture the city as I see. I mean, actually, Kabul is more colorful, but after living 3 years, the colorful image of the city became gray and more gray to me as the maker of this film. So I tried to capture the city also close to that color, which is closer to the reality. In the surface, at first, if you come from outside, from out of the country, you will be seeing a very colorful, sunny, happy people. As the city is, people are smiling. Afghan people are very friendly and they smile. But if you take it, but that is only the surface. I mean, that is the touristic image. That was my biggest challenge, to get rid of this touristic image of Afghanistan. And I have portraited, I filmed ordinary people on the street, hundreds of them. Wherever I came, I made several portraits of people, and I asked them, could you just look into my lens for 1.5 minutes without anything?
Oh, wow.
So at first they smile. As I said, they give you this smile, but 1.5 minutes is a long time.
Yeah.
If you don't say anything. So after 30 seconds, the smile disappears. And after 50 seconds, the real face appears. And that deep gaze in their eyes tells everything about the history of Afghanistan. They are shattered by war and by violence. And 99% of those portraits are in the same category, in the same feeling, and has the same emotion. So this is exactly what I mean by getting rid of that surface and digging deeper in the society, and you will see another image which is closer to the reality.
Oh, thank you. That was a really well articulated idea. You mentioned before that you used an iPhone when you were kind of scouting in a way. Were those shots used in the film, or was that only for your own kind of research at the time?
No. The problem was that, I mean, cinematography is very important for me, but we didn't have any finance in the beginning. Although I am Dutch, but even in the Netherlands, we couldn't get any finance from the Netherlands. We pitched this project in several international prestigious platforms, including Vision du Réel, but no chance to get any finance, although everybody liked the project. They loved the images, they loved the project, the idea, but the answer was very simple and clear. They were saying, because for documentary, most of the budget comes from the TV channels. Their answer was pretty clear. Your film, your idea is great, but it doesn't fit to our policy. So they were looking for different kind of films in Afghanistan, in a country which is famous as this war zone, you know. And that story was not my story. I didn't want to give those kind of story. I'm tired of those kind of stories. So we had no finance at all. That was the main reason that I started to shoot with iPhone. I was even determined to finish the film with iPhone. But half away, Japan was the first country that, so at the end, Asia was, they came on board and they invested, and then South Korea, and then finally Germany, and then Netherlands at the end. We got some finance, then I bought some proper camera, and then I started from zero. And but I was thinking to use those iPhone material as well, but as hard as I tried, the images didn't match and didn't give me the feeling, so I didn't use at the end.
Okay, yeah, that's what I suspected.
Yes.
Is there, I don't know, is there anything else that you haven't described that you think would be important for people to know about the film? Anything else you want to add?
About the film, well, I always like to tell that this film has been made with local young filmmakers who are really passionate about cinema, and they want to give better films, to make better films in Afghanistan. And there are some. So, and I'm really thankful and very hopeful because I'm not alone, and there are some, and we will do that. And yes, this is all I want to tell.
Were there in the making of the film, did you rely on local talent?
Yes, only local talents. So,
okay. Well, say something more about that. That's really interesting, I think.
So I didn't bring anybody from outside Afghanistan except myself. And the thing is that I believe that even if we had proper finance from Europe, and I could bring experts from Europe, it wasn't a good choice because every film, every location has its own soul. You need people in your team who knows the soul of that place, who knows the town, who knows the code of that place. What happens in many cases in Europe, those co-production, is that they try to apply their version of production in these far countries or wherever it is, and that's good financially, economically is good. It's a plus, but what happens is that the soul of the film get weakened at the end. So this in mind, I was lucky that I met young people who were just graduated from film school in Iran or in Pakistan or in Indonesia, some from Europe. Then they came back to Afghanistan. They all want to tell better stories. They all want to tell a different way of stories. So it was, and we had very difficulties with finance. So all of them were putting their love and their passion in this film to make it happen. And right now they are very happy. I registered a small production company in Kabul, which is called Kino Kabul, and the idea is to produce and develop a local project with local experts.
Oh, that's wonderful. That's wonderful. Yes. Last thing, I don't know if Jing confirmed this with you or not, but we wanted to see if you were available. The film will screen this coming Saturday, June 1st, and wanted to see if it's possible to do a Skype interview with the audience following the film. I don't know if you.
What time is it?
Yeah, the film will screen at 1 p.m. on I'm 7 hours. We're 7 hours behind.
So 8 o'clock.
Well, so the film. I don't know what's the runtime for the film.
It's 1.5 hours.
So yeah, so it would be around, I guess, 9:30ish or so on Saturday. I don't know if that's possible or not.
We could try. Yes, I will be in Amsterdam, and let's try. Let's do that.
I'll email you and confirm with you. But that would be really wonderful. Last year we had this year we'll have 10 films, and I think about half the films we have the directors present,
Mm-hmm.
and for as many of the films as possible, we engaging the filmmakers usually with Austin filmmakers. So had some really substantive conversations, and I mean I really enjoyed talking to you just now, and I know people would love to hear from you after the film.
All right.
So I'll email you and kind of confirm all that.
All right. Good.
So
Good. Good.
okay, well thank you so much for taking the time. Enjoyed talking to you,
Are you
and
gonna
again I'm
publish all this?
sorry.
Are you gonna publish this or?
Yeah, it'll be published online. I could probably I'll send it to you.
Oh, would be great. Would
Yeah,
be
yeah, it'll be published online so that we can make people more aware about the subject matter of the film.
All right.
So it'll be
Great.
this week. But again, thank you. I'm really congratulations and thanks for making this film. And I'm really proud and excited that I can bring it to Austin.
Yes. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you about that. Okay.
Okay.
Have a good day.
Yeah, you too. Take care. Bye.
Bye. Bye.